Sydney-based graffiti writers Tom and Daniel are on their way to their usual graffiti haunt. They go by the tag names T-Dub and Mr. French.
Don't tell anyone where this place is.
Yeah. Top secret.
This is T-Dub.
And this is Daniel French.
Many people have different ideas of what is considered art.
Graffiti is an acceptable art form if there's permission for it to be there, and it's a recognisable art form. And it was done with the motive of being an art form.
I think I've heard, when it comes to art, just about anything can be art. Art is in the eye of the beholder. So something like graffiti, where people are taking time to organise colours and put designs together, that would have to class as art.
Dr. Samantha Edwards is a design lecturer from the University of Western Sydney. She studied graffiti as part of her PhD, archiving the evolving graffiti landscape in Sydney.
Personally, I don't believe that graffiti in the context of the urban landscape should be preserved. I believe it's an essentially ephemeral phenomenon. Graffiti writers go out knowing that in a week or in a day or in a year their work will be gone. They can walk away, create the work, walk away. It's a very liberating kind of way to live, I think. So I became really interested in how graffiti reshapes and transforms place. They're honest, and there's an integrity with graffiti in terms of what people want to say, and they want to have a free voice. It's probably the most democratic institution that we have.
Tom and Daniel started writing about 4 years ago.
What draws me to graffiti? I'd probably say because it's kind of like being a kid again. Just have this fucking huge wall. You've got all these tints, all these different colours you can just unleash and sort of just let everything out and be really expressive and just have a lot of fun with it.
Like a kid with a box of crayons.
Exactly, yeah.
As with all things artistic, the motives behind graffiti writing vary widely.
Graffiti, it can be anything and everything. You can have it super figurative, you can have it super abstract, you can basically do whatever you want.
You can say whatever you want as well, because
exactly,
it's honest,
Exactly,
make a statement that you don't have to stand there as a person and back up.
Yeah.
You can just do whatever you want, say whatever you want, and have it there, similar to advertising in a way. And
you can put it up and people are forced to look at it.
But tags on private property, a common starting point for many young writers, have caused a huge divide among the community. Chris Winslow is the director of Vandal Track, a not-for-profit community group against graffiti vandalism. He says a lack of legal spaces for graffiti artists to refine their skill is not an excuse.
If I wanted to be a dentist, I wouldn't grab my little sister and say, open your mouth, I'm going to practice an extraction on you. We do reject this logic because we don't want the community to have a spray can held to their head.
If it's a public wall, then go ahead, but if it's someone's property, well, just, a family or something where they don't want their kids having a big dick on their wall outside, don't do that shit.
But the New South Wales government is cracking down on graffiti writers. Under the O'Farrell government's tough new laws, juvenile vandals are required to appear before the court. The court will have the power to extend the time that young vandals spend on their learner and provisional licences. The New South Wales government says this will send a clear message to young offenders. But the question is, will it really?
Not for shit, that sucks balls. There's no rose without the thorn. To have something beautiful and to have all these made pieces, you're going to have the tags as well.
Dr. Edwards says that the new laws are not necessarily a strong deterrent for young graffiti writers.
I think all the amendments in the bill and the zero tolerance policy and all the heavy fines and consequences, in some respects, make graffiti writers, in my experience, more inventive and creative about how they go about doing graffiti.
Graffiti writer Andrew Hagan says that in many cases it is necessary for new artists to start off by illicitly tagging private property.
For people to take you seriously, you kind of need to do a bit of dirt. If you're wanting to learn graffiti, some stuff's going to get damaged. It takes some time to get to a point where you can control that energy and just put it in some legal space.
According to Tom and Daniel, if there were more public spaces for young writers to practice and refine their art, the incentive to tag private property would be reduced.
The fact that there is not many legal laws, not many places that you can paint, just forces people to have to find other alternatives which aren't going to be legal.
Government water companies, electricity companies that are just walls that are sitting there and dirty, murky greens and poo browns. It's sort of unnecessary where they don't let it happen.
Both graffiti writers and Dr. Edwards agree that the way society views graffiti needs to change.
It's either seen to have, monetary value like a Banksy stencil, or it's seen to be, you know, the scourge of the universe.
Banksy, it's like, initially it's illegal. What he's doing is he's fucking spray paint. If anybody else does it, it's like, right, fucking, you're out of here, gone. But when he does it, they put a fucking plaque over it, like this little fucking perspex thing, and sort of, it doesn't really make sense. I think the way they need to approach it, it's definitely different. I think if they were giving people more space to paint and more legal walls and more fucking government walls, which are just shitty grey colours that look disgusting anyway, they were giving those to artists and letting people just sort of spend time and do some cool shit on it.
Rather than labelling it as something that's antisocial and therefore not worth understanding, we need to unpack that, look at it, and then examine it as a cultural and a historical phenomenon that's very important to lots of different kinds of people.
But Tom and Daniel are confident that it's heading in the right direction.
There's appreciation for enough people. You can get some old lady fucking that all she knows is Renaissance art and she can see something, and now fucking some old lady's like, yeah, don't matter, that's quite funny.
We've really got to take our hats off to the greats. So many great artists, and they sort of have completely made it accessible to make a living out of street art.
Yes, graffiti art's definitely going places. I think it's definitely something.
Definitely going